I'm 25 and still figuring out how to keep basil alive. If that's not a metaphor for my relationships, it's at least a tidy coincidence. My name's Rhea. I can parallel park on the first try, make perfect mint chocolate brownies by feel, and I believed in forever until I caught a notification on my boyfriend's smartwatch that read, "You left your hoodie in the back seat." Not my hoodie. Not my back seat. This is how I learned the truth. On a Wednesday evening that smelled like rain and old coffee, I was chopping spinach for dinner while Jay stretched on the living room floor, pretending to foam roll but mostly scrolling. He never takes his smartwatch off when he's home because it tracks recovery, which is a word he uses as if he were a professional athlete instead of a project manager who once pulled a hamstring trying to impress a toddler at a family picnic. The watch buzzed, lit up, and I wasn't even snooping. It just flashed at my face, needy and bright. The sender was L. The message was emoji-heavy. The kind of casual intimacy that assumes a reply is not just wanted, but owed. I tried to hand him the watch. "Someone's texting you," I said, light, neutral, like a talk show host who knows the answer but asked anyway for ratings. He took it without looking at me. "Work," he said. Then, when the timing collapsed under its own weight, he tried on another. "Logistics. For the party." The party in question was his 28th birthday. A big deal because Jay is one of those people who believe aging deserves both a parade and a TED Talk. Last year I made him a treasure hunt across the city that ended in a rooftop picnic and bad champagne. He loved it so much he made me swear we'd do it every year, and I agreed because love makes you volunteer for complicated things. My stomach went cold and polite. "Do you want mushrooms?" I asked. "Always," he said. He never looked up. The watch buzzed again. I slept badly. I woke with a plan. When I was 6, my mother taught me to fold paper cranes. "Every crease has a purpose," she said. "That's how it holds shape." As an adult, I think about that when I build any plan, including petty ones. A good plan is a crane. You work the paper, not your fingers. I started with a list. I always start with a list, confirm my suspicion, speak to L, if she exists outside of the digitized swamp, decide what I want. Revenge? Closure? Both? Make a map. The confirming happened accidentally. 2 days later, Jay left for a pickup game. He said he'd be back in an hour, but he took his car. Jay hates driving to the gym because parking is weird, so I waited 20 minutes and checked his location because we share that, and he forgot that we share that. He wasn't at the gym. He was at a coffee shop on the east side. If this were a crime novel, I'd have trailed him, a trench coat over yoga pants. But this is real life and I had a shift, so I did the adult thing. I texted him, "How's the gym?" "Good. Sweaty. How's the coffee?" "Which coffee?" "Cool. Say hi to Elle for me. 3 minutes of typing dots." Then the clatter of excuses. "She's just a friend." And "She's going through something." And finally, when my silence held its shape. "Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. It's nothing serious. There is a specific kind of anger that's clear as winter. It doesn't want to throw or scream. It wants to measure. It wants to get it exactly right." "I need space tonight," I texted. "I'm staying at Noor's. Noor is my best friend, the one who holds my hair when I cry and my secrets when I can't." Jay typed for a long time and sent nothing. I turned off my phone and packed a bag. On my way out, I paused at our coat rack. There was a gray hoodie I didn't recognize. It smelled faintly of sugar and patchouli, Elle's hoodie. So she was real, and she had left a breadcrumb in my entryway like some modern, slightly perfumed Hansel. I folded the hoodie into my tote bag and took it with me. Noor handed me tea and a blanket and did not say, "I told you so." That is why she is my friend. "Do you want to set it on fire?" she asked, nodding at the hoodie. "Tempting," I said. "But that's a felony. What's the PG-13 version?" "Returning it," I said. "With interest." The next morning, I became a detective with decent handwriting. I went through our joint photo album, Jay's tagged pictures, and his friends' pages. I searched the coffee shop's location tag. It took an hour before I found her, a girl in a yellow coat, posing with a drink tall enough to require planning. She was laughing, and her laugh looked like an invitation. Her username was Alayla Laughs. She was pretty the way a summer dress is pretty, both effortless and deliberate. A scroll told me she worked at a studio 3 blocks from my bakery, which is called Butter Theory, because we believe in logic and sweets. I walked there at noon carrying the hoodie in a plain paper bag. The studio had an open door and the kind of plant that either gets bathed in classical music or never watered. And there she was, Layla in real life, more human and less filtered, but still luminous. She looked up. "Hi," she said, pleasant suspicious, as if I might be delivering a package or a small lawsuit. "I brought you something." I held out the bag. She peeked in and then looked at my face as if scanning a QR code for context. Recognition flickered, then the guilt you can't stage. "Oh," she said. "You must be Rhea," I said. "Jay's girlfriend." "Right," she said, then lowered her voice. "Ex?" I held her gaze. "Soon," I said. "Did he tell you he had one of those, or did you find out like I did?" "By accident," Layla winced, a real wince, not performative. "Look, I didn't. He said you were on a break." "We shouldn't have." "You should have," I said, surprising both of us. "Because now I know. And because I wanted to meet you before I decided what kind of person I want to be about this." She blinked. "What kind are you thinking?" "The strategic kind," I said. "Can we talk?" We went to the cafe next door because the floor at the studio had chalk dust on it, and it felt like I should respect that. Over iced teas, she told me her version, which was messy and ordinary. He flirted. He was charming. He framed our relationship as complicated. She wanted to believe him. She liked how he listened. She apologized 4 times. I accepted 3 of them. "I get it," I said. "I've been the Layla before." I didn't add that I had also been the Jay in smaller ways, the kind that get called unkind names in group chats. "Here's what I'm going to do." I told her about the birthday scavenger hunt tradition and the way Jay loved puzzles almost as much as he loved being the protagonist. "This year," I said, "I'm going to make him a hunt that's honest. It will start sweet. It will get specific. It will end with a truth he can't sidestep. And then I'll leave, publicly?" she asked, cautious. "Public enough to count," I said. "Not cruel. Just accurate." She stared at her tea. "Do you need help?" she asked. And the question was both atonement and curiosity. I did. "Yes," I said. "I need some receipts." She sent them that night. Not the sexual ones, because I didn't want the porn reel of my own heartbreak. Just the messages where he had lied in both directions, the overlapping calendars, the promises and their duplicates. The screenshots came with timestamps like tiny knives. Nor helped me build the hunt. She was delighted the way gods probably are when humans dream a little vengeance. "It's like a performance art breakup," she said. "Do you have a title?" "The Scavenger Hunt of Someone Who Learned Better," I said. "Or possibly Bye Forever." "Go with the first one," she said. "Second one's a bit blunt. The rules. 1 clue per place that mattered. Every clue a little sharper than the last. Each envelope timed and delivered by friends who chose me. No screaming. No property damage. Only truths he gave me. I booked the last rooftop again, because closure likes symmetry. I made a playlist of the songs we had overused, the one we danced to in socks, the one we sang in the car, the one that once made me think love was a room we could keep walking inside without finding the walls. I rented string lights because I'm not a monster. The first clue went to the bookstore where we met. We met not romantically but banally, both reaching for the same paperback and doing the script of Know You like a teen rom-com. It worked because he smiled with his entire mouth. He proposed coffee. I said yes because I was 22 and both hungry and free. In the years since, the bookstore became our place. The kind you show to out-of-town friends with a little flourish. He arrived at 11. The time printed on the card I put under his windshield wiper that morning. "For your birthday, your favorite tradition." Clue number 1 is where we argued about whether commas are necessary. They are. Are. He told me later he laughed, because I am myself even when I'm mad. Behind the register, Mira handed him an envelope. Mira is my favorite bookseller and an ally in all my small adventures. She watched him open it. Inside was a picture of a comma drawn in red, and on the back I had written, "Sometimes the pause is the point. Go to where we had our first coffee. Ask for the drink you used to get before you started pretending to like oat milk." He went there, and the barista, who once shaved his head for charity, handed him another envelope with his old order: 2 sugars, too much cream, and a slice of the lemon loaf he pretends to hate because he's trying to cut down on sugar. The note read, "Sugar makes the truth easier to swallow. Next clue's at the batting cages where you bruised your pride." This is how the day built itself. He followed the breadcrumbs, each hiding in a place that had my fingerprints. At the batting cages, the note was taped to the helmet with the crack he insisted was lucky. At the park where he fake proposed to me in front of geese to make an old lady laugh, the note was tied to a statue. At the art supply store where he once tried to convince me we should learn to watercolor together, the note was clipped to a pad that declared itself professional grade, the words sharpened. At the batting cages, "You loved the speed you couldn't control. Same." At the park, "Be careful with jokes designed to be mistaken for sincerity. People have heartbeats, Jay." At the art supply store, "A blank page is not the same as a clean one." He was texting me throughout. "This is amazing. I love you." And later, "Are we okay?" And later still, "Is this what I think it is?" I didn't reply. It felt like the first good boundary I'd drawn in years. Mid-afternoon, he reached the old movie theater where we once watched a horror flick and held hands in the silly, formal way of people trying to be brave. The envelope was at the box office. Inside, a ticket stub I had kept and a printout of one of his messages to Layla where he told her I understood and was fine with casual. Beneath it, my handwriting. I never said that. He called me. I didn't pick up. He called Noor. She did because she enjoys a stage. "Finish the hunt," she said, cheerful like a GPS that refuses to accept your detour. "You've already committed to the bit." "It's not a bit," he said, and I heard his voice through her phone, small and young. "No," Noor said, and her tone went velvet and steel. "It's not." The next clue led him to the flower market where we bought cheap peonies and felt rich, then to the dog park where we pretended we had one by borrowing other people's for 10 minutes while their owners laughed, indulgent. He looked so tired when he picked up the envelope there that the woman with the 3-legged corgi patted his arm. Inside the dog park note was another screenshot. This one from a different L. Lucy, dated months earlier. I hadn't known about Lucy. It was both disorienting and clarifying. This wasn't a one-time lapse. It was a hobby. I felt something die and something else uncoil. "Next stop," the note read, "is the studio where Layla dances. She knows you're coming. Be decent," he went. Layla was waiting, her hair up, her face bare. She didn't smile. She handed him a sealed envelope without meeting his eyes. Inside was the hoodie receipt. On the back, found in our entryway. Helpful, as breadcrumbs go. "I'm sorry," he said to her, and Layla nodded. Not gracious, but not cruel. "You should say that to Rhea," she said. "But finish the hunt first. She gets to decide when the credits roll." He walked to the last location, which he guessed correctly because his ego is both a flaw and a compass. The building manager, who likes my brownies and mispronounces my name with affection, led him up to the roof. The city was trying on evening like a dress. String lights glowed. The playlist played low. A table waited with water, folded napkins, a small cake I had iced with the word, "eventually." I didn't know what message would feel right, I said, stepping out. "So I picked the one that matched today," he inhaled. I watched him build the version of himself he needed to be, apologetic, serious, eyes soft. I had built that version for him before. It was strange to watch him do it alone. "Rhea," he began. "Let me go first," I said, "because the game is mine." He put his hands in his pockets, then took them out, then folded them behind him. He looked like a schoolboy who had been told to stand still. It almost made me love him again. Then I remembered the screenshots. Love stayed where it was. I made you this hunt because you love them, I said, and because I wanted to show you what honest clues look like. They're not the kind you need a cipher for. They don't require a key. You just read them. You just choose to trust them. I'm sorry, he said. He said it like it was the only page in his script. I believe you, I said. It surprised us both. I believe you're sorry you're here. I'm sorry we're here too. But I'm not sorry I found out. And I'm not sorry I made you walk through the map of us so you'd understand what you were risking. You could have just told me to leave, he said. Small. I am telling you, I said, gentle, because I wanted to be the kind of person I could recognize later. After cake. I'm not a barbarian. He almost laughed, and then didn't, and that little almost made my throat ache. We cut the cake with the plastic knife I'd tucked in my bag. He took the corner piece because he always does. We stood in the pause of it, the comma. He chewed. I watched the lights make his face kind. Was there someone else? He asked suddenly, as if hoping to even the math. Did you? No, I said. There was just me, and that's part of why I'm leaving. I want that to feel like enough again. He set his plate down on the ledge and reached for my hand, then remembered there was no reaching anymore. He nodded. I won't beg, he said. I don't want to be that person. Good, I said. Be the person who writes down the pattern and stops repeating it. There was one last envelope. I handed it to him. Inside were practicalities, a list of the things he needed to collect, the things I had boxed for him, the utilities to transfer. I had canceled the trip we planned because I had paid for it and I deserved the refund. I had forgiven the debt he owed me for the couch because I didn't want an IOU more than I wanted the couch gone. Sometimes power is deciding your peace is worth more than your money. Will you be okay? He asked, and I tucked away the part of me that wanted to say, I already am. I will be, I said. Not tonight, but eventually. I pointed at the cake. As advertised. He started to cry, and it wasn't theatrical. I stood there, not hugging him, because I have learned that comfort is a gift I can keep. When he wiped his nose with his wrist like a teenager, I handed him a napkin. We were polite even as we weren't. Thank you, he said at last, for the hunt. He meant it and didn't. I took the compliment anyway. He left the rooftop with the slow steps of someone trying to memorize each stair. When the door closed behind him, I sank into the folding chair I'd hauled up. My hands shook. The city kept doing its city thing. Cars, laughter, the far-off siren that means someone else is having their worst day. Noor appeared, quiet as an apology. She had keys because she always does. She put her arm around me. I leaned into her, and for a few minutes, we breathed together like we had learned to share a lung. You were perfect, she said into my hair. I was human, I said. Same thing, she said. Breakups have a choreography if you let them. Step 1, move your toothbrush. Step 2, unfollow without theater. Step 3, block if you must. I'm not a saint. I looked at his pages. The next morning, he posted a photo of the sunrise with a caption about growth that didn't mention me. I rolled my eyes and made muffins. At the bakery, the regulars noticed. Mrs. Alvarez, who lives 3 blocks over and orders 1 scone and 6 stories, touched my arm. And I almost cried because sometimes kindness is the sharpest thing in the room. I put eventually on the chalkboard as the name of the day's special. People asked and I said, it's about timing. That was true enough. Layla texted once, are you okay? I wrote back, in progress. She sent a heart, not red, not pink, but blue. It felt appropriate. Days filled themselves. I learned there are hours I used to spend worrying that now I can spend frosting. I watched shows where no one cheats because I needed to believe in that fiction before I could believe in my possibilities. I took an extra shift at the bakery because dough is honest. If you need it, it becomes what you ask. If you stop, it rests. It will wait, and then it will rise. 2 weeks later, Jay's sister texted me. We had been close in the way partners' sisters sometimes are. A little confessional, a little transactional, a lot built on the hope that this will last. He's spiraling, she wrote. He misses you. Of course he does, I typed, then deleted it, then wrote. I hope he's kind to himself and other people. I am a better person when I edit. At week 3, he sent a long email. It was a good email. He had practiced. He included specifics, the first lie, the moment he decided to tell himself a prettier version, the stretch of weeks where he believed his narrations more than my face. He did not ask for me back. He did not promise what he could not guarantee. He wrote, "I don't deserve your forgiveness," which is earnest and also aggressive if you're hoping to be told you do. I wrote back, "You're forgiven. I'm still not coming back. I meant it. Forgiveness is a broom, not a key." He answered with a single line, "Thank you." I deleted the email thread because I have learned that keeping a thing is an invitation to revisit it. The revenge part, if we have to call it that. And let's got legs without my help. People in our circle talked. Someone's date mentioned someone's story to someone else. I don't know what version got told, and for once I didn't try to control a narrative I had released into the wild. What I did do was bake. My boss noticed the spike in sales the week after eventually went up. "Is there like a story behind this cake?" he asked, licking icing off his thumb. "Isn't there always?" I said. And he laughed and asked if maybe we could call it something else tomorrow because customers were starting to order it like a punchline. I renamed it Comma. It sold out by noon. People love a pause. They love knowing that a pause is a choice. In another life, I would have recruited the internet as a weapon. I could have posted screenshots, asked the crowd to assemble and respond. If the day taught me anything, it's that I didn't want to be that. Version of myself, even if she would have been applauded. There's a difference between not being cruel and letting someone believe there were no consequences. I wanted him to feel it. I wanted to feel it less. The consequences came anyway. Jay's boss called Noor, because the world is small, and asked how he was doing, whether she thought he needed time off. I told Noor to tell him the truth. He needs to sit with discomfort for a bit. Then he needs a therapist. He started therapy. I know because he told his sister, who told me because she needed to tell someone. I didn't feel relief exactly, but I felt something simpler than bitterness. Satisfaction, maybe? The kind you get when a room finally looks like what you pictured in your head after weeks of moving furniture and swearing. Layla came into the bakery one day and waited until the line thinned. She bought a Comma slice and an espresso and asked if she could sit. We did the small talk first, work, weather, how the city felt extra humid for no good reason, then the big talk. "I thought he was it," she said, popping a crumb in her mouth, letting sugar dissolve on her tongue. "Not forever. Just for now. I like feeling part of someone's now." "I know," I said. "I'm trying to like feeling part of mine." She looked at my hands. "You did a kind thing, you know," she said. "As kind as revenge gets." "I tried to make it more mirror than knife," I said. "Reflections cut too, but at least you can see what you're holding." She laughed, then grew serious. "Do you think you'll ever trust?" I said. "I think I'll try. I'm 25. I'm allowed to be stupid again. Just differently. We ate cake." She told me about a class she was taking, something with jumps and grace and the word release. I told her about a recipe I was testing that used brown butter in a way that felt like cheating, but the kind we endorse. After she left, Noor texted, "You're a better person than me." I sent back, "Not better. Just tired." On the last day of summer, I held a small goodbye ceremony for the version of me who had believed in Jay as a fixture rather than a guest. It was just me, a candle, and a list I wrote on the back of a receipt because I hadn't meant to be ceremonial. Things I learned that hurt. Being loved is not the same as being chosen. The benefit of the doubt is a budget. Intuition counts as data. Things I learned that I needed. Boundaries don't make me unkind. Revenge can be honest. I deserve ordinary happiness. I folded the paper and slipped it into a jar. I am not woo-woo, not really, but I wanted to keep the reminder in a place I could see, among flour and sugar, where transformation is both science and magic. Every time I reach for cinnamon now, the jar winks at me. In late September, I made myself my own scavenger hunt. It wasn't fancy? Clue 1. Go to the bridge with the view of the warehouse mural and admit you like blue better than red. Clue 2. Buy yourself a plant you will try sincerely not to kill. Clue 3. Text your mother back. Clue 4. Tell Nor you love her even when she wears those boots you hate. Clue 5. Sit on your fire escape with a book that isn't about self-improvement and a cup of tea and let an entire afternoon pass without optimizing it. The final clue led me back to the roof where I had ended us. The building manager let me up. I didn't bring cake. I brought a blanket and a pen. I wrote the first lines of this story on the back of a utility bill. I wrote the title, crossed it out, wrote another, crossed that out. I wrote, I'm 25 and my basil died and my heart did not. The lights flickered. The city exhaled. Somewhere below me, a siren gave up and went home. I breathed and listened and tried to notice the way healing sounds like traffic you stop hearing because you live with it. When I finally left the roof, I took the stairs 2 at a time. I passed a boy carrying a pizza bigger than his torso, and a girl wearing headphones and a man who smelled like fresh laundry. All of us were carrying something. All of us were taking it somewhere. I thought of my mother and her paper cranes. Every fold has a purpose. I keep folding. I keep finding shape. Sometimes people ask, if he asked for another chance, would you have tried? I tell the truth. If he had asked that night on the roof, I might have said yes, I say. If he had asked the next day, maybe. By week 2, no. That's fast, they say, which is code for, that's cold. Grief is a musician with a million tempos, I say. Mine plays quick. What I don't say is that my revenge worked because it wasn't a spectacle. It was a mirror. He walked through our memories with me and saw himself reflected in all of them. And in the last one, the reflection looked like a person who had done harm. Not a villain, not a monster, just a human who had carved a path he didn't want to walk anymore. Maybe he will choose differently next time. Maybe I will too. Noor still calls the lemon cake eventually. It's a running joke now. When someone asks what it means, she says, it's about timing, and winks at me. Sometimes the person laughs, and sometimes they look puzzled, and sometimes they nod, like they are remembering the exact day they understood why a comma matters. Last week, a man came in and ordered 2 slices of comma and a cappuccino. He was wearing a running shirt and the tiredness of someone who had not slept. He paid and then hesitated. Is this the cake? He asked. From the story? Which story? I asked, teasing. Because stranger myths are safer than my specifics. The one where the girl set up a scavenger hunt to break up with her boyfriend, he said. And a flush crept into my cheeks like a schoolgirl in a poem. My sister told me. She said it was... He scratched his head. She said it was merciful. I hope your sister is okay, I said. She is, he said. Eventually. We smiled at each other the way people do when they recognize the shape of a stranger's map. I slipped an extra napkin into his bag because sometimes kindness is small and cottony. He left, and I wiped the counter with the calm focus of a person who knows that sugar is sticky and also worth it. Here is what I know now, at 25 and some change. You can love someone and still leave them on a rooftop with cake because love that makes you disappear is not love that deserves a sequel. You can design an ending with a soft landing and a clear message. You can tell the truth without fear of being cruel. You can be angry without becoming mean. And when the lights come on and the music drifts out into the air, you can gather your things, hold your own hand if no one else is around to do it, and take the stairs. That night after the man left, I took home a basil plant. I placed it on the windowsill like a promise. I looked up guides and set a reminder and didn't overwater it out of panic. It is still alive. This is not a metaphor, but it could be.